Hey, it's Joanna Brandi here, sharing my library with you. Now, if you saw my first video, there was a little bit of a story there, and I'll sum it up for you. I'll sum it up by telling you, it tells you a little bit about how I wrote my first book, Winning at Customer Attention, that one, and how I went on to write so many training programs and speeches. Well, what I did is I did a lot of reading. I went to a lot of conferences. I studied with a lot of teachers. And now I'm at the point in my life where I feel like that wisdom belongs to me. And so it's time, since I'll be moving in the next few months, to start getting rid of some of my books. You have no idea how hard that is. But I had this idea because people always seem to be curious about my path and how I got to where I am and how I got to start talking about positive leadership and positive spillover and positive workplaces, to share with you some of the way I got here by sharing with you some of the fabulous authors that I studied. And one of them, or three of them actually, is in the book Rekindling Commitment: How to Revitalize Yourself, Your Work, and Your Organization. If you're an entrepreneur like me, you've got to do that frequently. If you've got ADHD like me, you've got to do that frequently. Some people can set a goal and just stick with it. I have to keep rekindling the passion around it. So I love this book for many, many reasons. And I'm just going to kind of randomly go through and read you some of the things that I have highlighted in the book. So pardon me if I look down while I'm talking to you, because I think there are things here that are worthwhile. So pretend it's a story hour. Um, They're talking here about work for meaning and identity. Now, I don't know about you, but my work has very often uh, given me the identity I have, other than being a mom, which is my primary identity, um, being a global citizen. I'm defined by the work I do. When someone says, "What do you do?" I say, "I'm a happiness coach." I know I'm supposed to have something more clever than that to say, but I'm working my way into it. But here's something that they say here in the book. One thing we can learn from this list of why people work is that a major building block of identity and membership in the community is important in our work. What do you do is usually the first question asked at social events, and our profession is the first thing we are likely to name. How we feel about our work is one of the most important factors supporting our health and self-esteem. You know, it breaks my heart when somebody tells me about their bad work experiences, about bosses that demean them and diminish them, or about bosses that don't notice them or don't praise them and don't show them appreciation. We're spending, many of us, 40, 50 hours a week working, and to not get affirmation during that period of time, to not feel appreciation during that period of time, is demeaning to the body. When I was in that kind of a situation, I had ulcers. I wore a neck brace. Uh, the stress of what I was doing was detrimental to my body. Not to say that the stress of owning a business isn't tough, because that is too. But I talk to a lot of people, and many of them tell me they just don't feel appreciated. Now, I do CEO meetings. I've been working for Vistage. That is the world's largest CEO peer-to-peer group organization in the whole world. I've been with them for 26 years, I think, 27 years. And so I get to go in front of groups of CEOs to speak. And these days, I speak primarily about positive spillover, how to create the kind of culture that people want to show up for, how to create the kind of culture where people can grow, succeed, achieve. Now, I was doing a meeting with some CEOs just last week, and I asked the question, how do my employees want to feel, or how do employees want to feel? And I was floored because one of the CEOs, one of the male CEOs, the first word he said was appreciated. And I literally applauded him, because often when I do these meetings and ask the same question and stand there at the flip chart with my marker waiting to write them down, I have to wait till we get at the bottom of the list, and then I say, I think you left something off. But this time, the most important thing showed up first. This was a very enlightened CEO. People need to feel appreciated. In fact, William James says that the number one human need is the need to feel appreciated. So I hope this gives you some ideas as to what to do with the rest of your day. Go around and appreciate a few people, tell people. There's another tab in here that I opened the other day, and this is one of my favorite topics. It's about the comfort zone. It's about the comfort zone. Everybody has a comfort zone, and we are comfortable inside it. The problem is that many of us often worship our comfort zones. We have our favorite comfort foods in our favorite comfort zones. We have our favorite comfort bathrobe, etc., etc., etc. But we don't grow unless we get outside of the comfort zone. So the way that I explain it is that outside the comfort zone is the stretch zone. And as long as you take someone from their comfort zone gradually and with appreciation and with care out of their comfort zone, they now expand into the stretch zone. They're more valuable to you as an employee. They're more valuable to themselves as a human. They're way more valuable to their family after you get them out of their comfort zone and into their stretch zone. But my experience in the business world tells me that very often leaders and managers and supervisors, I'll put them all in one group, get people out of the comfort zone by putting them in the panic zone. And since I have spent quite a bit of my life in the panic zone, I want to let you know that it's not a nice place to be. So as a leader, when you want to help someone grow, you want to help them move out of it somewhat gradually. I'm not saying that it should take a year, but I am saying that you want to have a good enough relationship with all the people that work for you that you understand their strengths and you compliment them frequently on their strengths and you discuss with them frequently how they can use their strengths for their own betterment and for the betterment of the company. When you have that kind of a relationship, then it's going to be very easy for you to help people expand their comfort zones into their growth zones. It's very exciting to get out of a comfort zone, but it's also very scary because it brings up all of the things in our past, and many of us have stuff in our past that scared us. So remember, nobody likes to be thrown in the pool, or at least I don't like to be thrown in the pool, and I've been thrown in the pool from a work perspective. So know your people well, know what their strengths are, and don't throw them in the pool. Okay, let me find one or two more things here in this beautiful book. This is a book that is Rekindling Commitment, How to Revitalize Yourself, Your Work, and Your Organization. This one may be a little hard to get rid of. That's going to be the hard part here. I've got thousands of books. Okay, I open to this page, which I just adore. This is Values are the bedrock of the organization. Values are among our most distinguishing characteristics as human beings. Because of them, people act not only in service to personal needs, but also out of a broader sense of what's important and meaningful. Sometimes we mistakenly think of values as shoulds, telling us what we can and cannot do. In fact, values are energizing, motivating, and inspiring. When we care passionately about something, when we value it, we can spur ourselves on to great achievements. Values help organize our lives. I know this for a number of reasons. I literally have worked with well over 200. I'm not one of these people that write things down like that, but I've worked with well over 200 companies in the last 35 years. Some had values. Some had values they didn't know about because they never took the time to write them down. Some come to me now and say, I know our website says we have values, but our people don't know how to live them. So I have developed a really cool process called the outside in values process that involves everyone who wants to be involved. So that's a pretty cool thing because most of the time when a company decides what their values are, they don't consult their people. So the outside in process, while it is a bit messy because you want to include anyone who wants to be included, is the perfect process. So, listen, I think I've probably taken up enough of your time today. I hope you enjoyed it. Uh, Tune back in because there's lots of books. And remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, JoAnnaBrandi.tv. Visit my website, returnonhappiness.com. Hit the like button, tell your friends, and do all of that good stuff that will get more good into the world. Thanks.